This video is sponsored by
Happy Milk. It's lactose-free milk.
I'm Abigail Awuni. I'm with World Vision as an account payable analyst and the creative director of Fugu Plus. I'm a mother to a beautiful month-old baby girl. Okay, so I think somewhere last year, I don't remember, maybe around October, I woke up one morning and I realized I'm so in tune with my body actually. So when I woke up, I realized I wasn't feeling too okay. I started throwing up. So I thought it was malaria. That was my first thinking. And later then the pregnancy thought also came to mind. So I decided to go to the pharmacy to buy some drug and then a test strip as well. So I bought a drug and I bought the test strip. I bought, I think, about 2 of them. So when I got home, I took the drug and I said, let me take the test too as well. So I took the test, and the first test that I took, I saw 2 lines, but then one was so faint. It wasn't just 1 line, it was 2 lines, but one was faint. And I asked a friend, and the friend said, no, it's either 2 deep lines or just 1 line. So I took it again and it was 1 line. So it was a bit confusing. So the next day I went to the pharmacy again. And when I got there, I panicked a little when it wasn't too clear. So I got to the pharmacy and I told the pharmacist I wanted 10 test strips. So the pharmacist was like, hey, madam. So I was like, why are you not selling it to me? Because I didn't want to do the go come because it wasn't too clear. So I bought them home and I was taking it like I was testing like medicine, morning, afternoon, evening, and it wasn't too clear. So I called a nurse friend of mine. Then I told her about it and she said, okay, so the blood test is rather accurate. So I should rather go and do that. That one, you walk into any lab and then you pick, you let them try do the test for you. So the next day I went to a hospital, a clinic around. Then I went to the lab. I told them I wanted to do a pregnancy blood test. So they did that and it came negative. Okay, so I was excited because, it wasn't something I was expecting. So I was excited about it. And it was, I think, a Friday. The Saturday, I had a radio program, a sports program. I went there. I was okay because it was negative anyway. So the Monday in the night, I noticed I was having some severe stomach pain. So I decided to check again and see, just maybe. I went to the washroom, I tested, and then, but it was 2 lines. Then, cheese. In fact, it wasn't something I really, let me say, planned or something. So, that thing where a lot of things start coming to your mind. You start thinking about a lot of things. So initially, that's what happened. Then I think later, yeah, it has come. So what would I do? I just decided to let it happen. When I realized, well, this one, there are 2 lines, it means you're pregnant. So, well, I went to the clinic to confirm. Then when I got there, I told them I was a first-time mom. So I got there and then they did a scan. And the gynae was like, okay, so I think you have 2 sacs, which means they were 2 twins. I was excited, but then I could see her facial expression. Something wasn't too cool, so she was like, yes, they are twins. The sacs are formed for 2, but it looks like one isn't forming too well. So we'll have to put you on drugs and then give you injections so that we'll see. But then the probability of the other one surviving or making it is very low, but it can happen. So for like 2 weeks, I was put on bed rest, not to do anything, not to lift anything, do anything serious. So I was asked not to do anything, lift anything or whatsoever for like 2 weeks. Then they will check to see if the other one will survive or will form well. So I did that and I went back again. Then she checked and she was like, nah, unfortunately, you have only one surviving. I was down, like, it's something I wish I could get, but then I was like, okay, half a love is better than none anyway. So I decided to focus on the one. Yes, so that's how I realized that I was pregnant. And the pregnancy journey, personally, I think my first trimester was too bad. Initially, I nearly gave up at some point because my morning sickness was something else. I couldn't do anything, but I had my mom around. She's been so supportive. She's been amazing. So she was doing everything for me because I couldn't do anything. And then the other one not surviving too. And at that time, I was going through a lot at that time. So it wasn't really easy for me. So initially, the first 3 months, I think, it wasn't easy for me. I didn't really enjoy much, but later, I think I came around. Yeah, so it was cool. Okay, so labor. So when I was 36 weeks and I think some 3 or 4 days, I woke up one morning and at my 5th month, my baby was head down already. So I had I just had some conviction that the baby would come before the 40 weeks. That was in my head, like this baby there, the way she's head down, I said, Opensama Banti, like she will come before the 40 weeks. So at 36 weeks and then some days, I think 3 or 4 days, I don't really remember. I woke up one morning and I started feeling cramping. Then I noticed that my baby's movements were slow, because one thing I enjoyed about also the pregnancy was the communication with my baby. So I really knew if something wasn't right. I could communicate with the baby and then she was so responsive. So when I woke up that day, I felt something was off. So I told my mom and then we went to the hospital. When we got there, the doctor was like, okay, so they'll have to do a CTG and then see what was happening, if the baby was breathing fine, the heartbeats and all that. So they did a CTG and they said the baby was fine, but it looks like I started contracting. So that was the problem. She checked me, she did I think a VE, and she said, oh, my cervix was still closed, but I've started contracting. So they have to admit me at the hospital to observe, probably labor might set in or something. So in case labor doesn't set in, then they will discharge me to go home. So I was admitted and we checked that, like nothing was happening. It was a Friday. So the Saturday morning, the doctor was supposed to come and see me and then we'll see whether I'll be discharged or not. So I think in the afternoon, I went to pee. Then when I went to the washroom, I saw the bloody show. I think we will know that the bloody show. I saw that and then I called the midwife to show it. I took a picture of it and I sent it to a friend who had a baby like weeks before, so she could confirm some pinkish something. So she just saw it and she said, yes, that's it. So it means labor has started. So I called the midwife and then she took me to the doctor. And the doctor did a VE and she said, okay, so I've started dilating 1.5. So they can't allow me to go home. I have to stay for them to observe and see if labor was setting again. It was a Saturday. So I was admitted. I was still asked to stay there. Sunday, no show, nothing came. And then they checked again, still the dilation had not progressed, still 1.5. So the doctor said, fine, because I've seen the bloody show and then dilation has started, I should just go home. The Tuesday was my next antenatal appointment. And I was going to, I think, 37 weeks. So the argument was that I should go home, and in case labor doesn't set in, then the Tuesday I should come and see her for my usual visits. Then the Wednesday morning, they will induce me so the baby can, because I started dilating and because it wasn't progressing. If labor has not set in, so that was our agreement. So on Tuesday morning, when I was leaving, my things were set, my hospital bag, everything was set. So I told my mom that I think on Monday, I decided to do some walking and squatting and all that because I could feel like the cramping was still there. So at dawn on Monday, that was on Tuesday, I noticed that I was contracting, but then the interval was to like an hour, 2 hours or something. So I told my mom I started contracting, so she should get the things ready. I was going to see the doctor. That was on Tuesday morning. After seeing the doctor, I'll come home, then we all pack the stuff and go and sleep at the hospital. Then the Wednesday morning, they will induce me so the people will come. So that was the agreement. So I went to see the doctor, and she did the V again. And when she checked, she was like, okay, you are 4 cm now. Looks like baby has to come today, so you can't go home. So call home, let them bring your stuff and all that. And it happened so fast for me, like I was going to see the doctor and come back and all that. So when I got there, she just called the midwife, please, labor, come and take care. Then they took me to the labor ward. I was with a small handbag. They said, take off your stuff. I took my clothing, everything off into my handbag. They gave me a different dress. Like everything was happening so fast. Like, yes, I knew I was going to have the baby, but I wasn't really ready at that time. So I took my stuff off, and then they broke my water. My mother had brought my things, so they broke the water, and then that's when the pain started. I went into like, no, I don't want to talk about, like, it's something I don't want to remember. It was so painful. I didn't know what to do to myself. And I was asked not to scream, because when I scream, the time the baby would come, I wouldn't have any strength left to push. So I was asked to just do some breathing and out, and it wasn't helping. And I think it was around 10 or 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday. So it was just pain. I didn't know what was happening outside and all that. They will come and check. They will say, oh, you've reached 6 cm. So I got to 8 cm, then they knew that, okay, we are almost there. So the doctor checked and said, okay, in no time you will get to 10 cm, then the baby will come. So then she left. And so I was in pain for a long time. I didn't know what was happening. There was no, I couldn't check time and all that, but I could see that for a long time, baby wasn't coming. So I think it was later, I was told like 3 hours or so later, the doctor wasn't there. So the midwife came, and then she also checked again. She said, okay, if it's 8 cm. Apparently they had checked and I was 8 cm long ago, which was so unusual. So she checked, and then they set up their staff waiting for the baby, because if it's 8 cm, then in no time the baby will come. So they set up their staff and they were waiting. So while they were waiting, the doctor now came. She even thought I'd had the baby long time ago, and then I was resting. So when she came, she was like, am I still lying here? And they said, yeah, she's 8 cm. And she said, no, she checked long ago. So by now, dear, the baby should come. And it was so risky. Like, it shouldn't get to that time. So I think delayed labor or something. They had to rush me to the theater because it was delaying. So now they have to. Then the midwife came again and told me, okay, someone had an emergency. Yes, they are now preparing the place, so I should relax small. Jesus, I didn't know what to do to myself. The pain was, I couldn't do anything to myself. But the only motivation I had at that time was that the pain wasn't going to kill me, and that very soon I'll see the baby. That was the only thing that was keeping me, because I can't describe the pain. So I had to hold on again for them to prepare the place for me to go to the theater, and it was something else. At that point, there were a lot of regrets. Like, I didn't know what I was thinking. So later, they came and took. I was tired. I was exhausted. I couldn't do anything again. So they took me to the theater, and I didn't know. They wanted to communicate with me, talk to me, but I was so exhausted. So they just, within some time, they had finished with the CS. My baby was. I wanted to hear the baby cry. I so wanted to hear the baby cry. So I heard the baby cry, and then I went to sleep. And they took me. What I realized was they were taking me to the recovery room. They asked me the gender of the baby. I said it's a female. So they took me to the delivery room. Yes, and that day because of the anesthesia, I was numb for some time. I couldn't do anything. I was even shivering. So I couldn't touch the baby. I couldn't bond with the baby. That excitement wasn't there on that day, that evening. It wasn't there. They brought the baby to me in the cot, and I could just turn and see her lying there, but I couldn't. There was nothing was really pushing me to go and then or touch the baby. So I think it was the next day that they, after bathing her, they brought her, and then I really had the time to see that, yes, this is mine.
Does drinking milk upset your tummy? You may be drinking the wrong milk. Regular milk contains lactose. If you are lactose intolerant, your body does not produce enough lactase enzymes to break lactose down, causing discomfort. Drink Happy Milk, the lactose-free milk. Happy Milk is nutrition-rich, with nourishing calcium, potassium, and iron, as well as vitamin B2 and B12 that are vital to a balanced diet. Happy Milk is better for you.
Lactose-free and tasty too. Happy Milk is better for you. It's yummy for the tummy. It's yummy for the tummy. It's lactose.
Okay, so as a new mother, I think now the attention is just on the baby. Like when I was pregnant, I was getting the attention more. Like you get friends, and it was just close pals who knew that I was pregnant, and you get them checking up on you. Do you want something? Your cravings and all that, they are there for you. But when baby came, sometimes I sit there and say, so nobody will call me. Nobody. And those who call, the attention is just, how is the baby? And I'm like, I'm also here. Oh, now you've forgotten about me. So the attention is on the baby, and a lot of things have changed now. Like, I just noticed that there are lots of things I don't have interest in again. It's just taking care of the baby, making sure she's okay. By the time I realize, Adiasa, it's the next day, and I feel there's a lot to do and all that. So there's a bit of changes now as a mother, and I'm trying to figure it out, even though it's not been easy, but then I'm trying to take it a day at a time. Yeah. I think I wish I'd prepared myself enough, like psychologically. I think that basically that's what I wish I knew. You know, if you know that I'm okay now, there's a time I want to have this and all that, you are so ready for it. So you are ready for every change or any change that comes. But psychologically, I wasn't too ready. But I just the baby had to come. So I have to adjust I have to adjust myself. Whether you like it or not, you have to adjust yourself. And yeah, so I wish I'd prepared more before the baby comes, so that I could be so ready for the baby. Since the baby came, I'm so impatient. I didn't know I could be that patient, but the baby has taught me a lot. Like, the baby doesn't know anything. It's not like she's aware of what she's doing or what she wants. She can't really. You have to take your time, observe, and then you know that, okay, this is what the baby wants. And in case it's not coming so fast or something, you have to relax. And yeah, so it's patient. I'm so impatient. I don't like, I want it done fast, but now you have to, it's not your will again. It's what the baby wants and all that. So you have to be patient about it. So yeah, it's the patience for me. No, not at all. Sometimes I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but at the end of the day, I get it done. Like, I have no idea, but I still figure it out anyway. That's one amazing thing, let me say. You don't know what you're doing, whether the baby is fine, is the baby okay, what I'm doing, is it okay for the baby, will it take the baby or not? Sometimes you don't know, but yeah, so I haven't really figured that out. I have no idea, but I think so far, because I have help, let me say, so I think I have my mom around, my granny too is around, so they are there to give me that assistance. But I just hope that when they leave, I'll still be able to hold on. I wish they were going to be with me. I wish they were going to be with me for a long time. Yes, but then, well, my granny will be leaving, but my mom will be around for some time. So when she leaves, I think I've started learning the things she's helping me with so that it will be easier for me. So yeah, for psychologically, I'm ready. When she leaves, I'll be able to take it up from there. Because at the end of the day, they will all go and then it will be just me and the baby. So for that, I'm preparing myself so well for that. I haven't really focused on myself yet. Maybe because it's too early. But now it is, so when I wake up, I hardly look at myself too much. It's just the baby. Even if she's sleeping, you have to keep an eye on the baby and all of that. She's just a month old, so I can't really say much, but let me say I haven't really had the time for, let me say, the me time myself. It's just the baby for now. So I wouldn't say it's difficult, but that's the, sometimes you tend to focus on yourself. You have to not focus too much on the baby. At least you have to take care for yourself. I haven't really had that time yet, so I wish that time will come where it's myself and the baby, we all move together. I think when I went through labor, I went through labor and then CS at the same time. Then after everything, I realized that our mothers were superheroes because it's not easy. And they even came out stronger, like when you look at our mothers and all that. Unlike as sometimes you feel, when I came out, then I started complaining and all that. I didn't see my mother complaining like that, so you don't see them talking too much about, and I went through pain, and no, they don't talk about it. So when I came out, I was like, wow. So if they went through all these things, then kudos to them, in fact, thumbs up to them. I think that's the most appreciate, like they were able to come out stronger and all that. Yeah, so that's what I appreciate about it. Also, one thing that I've really appreciated, like my baby, when I see her, like I get satisfied, let me say that. Like I can't have enough of her. Like seeing that she really came out of me, or that's my product, it's just a different feeling altogether. So those who know me, they know, I believe now they are even fed up with me. She's not even up to 2 months. And I'm all over her. I can't have enough of it. Like I can be home and just be sitting there watching her like that and I'm okay. And I can't describe the feeling. She's just everything to me. And I think that's one thing that I also appreciate about being a mother. I think I've not had another baby, but I think that the pregnancies, even when I was pregnant, I had people also sharing different views about their pregnancy. We have our pregnancies are not the same. So, and then whether you have a belly birth, that's a CS, or a vaginal birth, I think they are all birth, there's no big one, is not bigger than the other. So let's all see. I've gone through the two, and I could say just the labor pain, not the vaginal, but I can say that they are all the same. If you are pregnant, you don't have to because this person is not experiencing something, it means yours is weird. No, not at all. No pregnancies are the same. So just let's take it a day at a time and then we'll get there.
This video
Was brought to you by Happy Milk.